Hey, these guys are such trash. I'm gonna send them something real quick. Do it, bro. We absolutely destroyed them. What's that noise? Ah! Oh, it's so loud! I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a full-time job and 3 kids. I record these videos at night, getting sleepy, but the show must go on. I've always been interested in trying a keyboard from Yunzii, but I've never really gotten the chance until today. Yunzii. It's a gasket mounted all aluminum keyboard, 75% layout, and I get to unbox it. Suck it. Oh, I'm sleepy. We do get a few things with it too, but first let's talk about the keyboard. It's got a pretty simple frame and design, but you get this little RGB strip in the side here and a pretty little planet badge as well. And it's really hefty for what you're getting. So they did make this out of premium parts overall. But let's set this aside and see what else comes in the box. A 2.4 gigahertz dongle, another super sad and pathetic cable. Dude, what is up with these floppy things lately? Extra keycaps in case you don't like the blue, keycap puller, and a few extra switches, which are the Cocoa Cream V2 linear switches. Ugh. Sorry, I'm trying to open one of these now. They're kind of coconuts, creamy. Look at it, they're coconut themed. They got a nice little brown, they've got a cream little top up there. I kind of like them. They're not browns because browns are stupid, but they're coconuts. See, coconuts. Of course, they're creamy as well. They're actually very nice and smooth to type on, and they're pre-lubed. Most switches are nowadays, which is incredible to be honest. But holy crap, they're loud. I don't know if it's just the keyboard or the way things are laid out, but these things are really loud. Just listen to this. That is really loud in my opinion. And here's a normal keyboard without silent switches, just a different style. Ready? A lot thockier and deeper and just not as loud. Jeez. So they do have an operating force of 50 grams, so it's a decently heavy switch as well. They're pre-lubed, 5-pin. It says low sound level in the description of these switches, but this seems like the loudest switch, maybe it's just the keyboard, kind of ever. Maybe it just needs to be tested in a different keyboard. Let's try that now. So we're gonna take the Cocoa Cream and put it into my Monka 6102 and see if it's any better. This is a comparison against the Vertex V1 switches. Now we're gonna take those same switches and put them in the other board now and see if the Vertex sound any better in the actual Yunzii. Yeah, it seems like the switches are one component as to why this keyboard is so loud. All right, so let's get into the features you're getting as well. So 1000 kilohertz, pretty standard, 2.4 gigahertz connection, Bluetooth, a 6000 milliamp battery, and apparently gasket mounted. That I will get into. Hot swap and double shot PPT keycaps, completely programmable, and the list really can go on. At this point, sure, that's not features that the keyboard doesn't have because it seems like all the keyboards I've been reviewing have everything you could ask for. Gasket mounted, all the connections, aluminum, PPT keycaps, cherry profile. I mean, they all have what I want. And the RGB is completely customizable as well. Everything from the color, pattern, brightness, speed, and this little shaft section right here. But of course, I have to take apart every keyboard I get, so let's look under the hood and see what makes this thing what it is. So we'll take a quicker look by giving it a little tap. Well, that was probably my worst transition ever, but I'm worried this is gonna confirm my suspicion. And here we go. Hey look, the RGB strip here is just a little rubber piece that allows the RGB to be diffused. That's kind of clever, but annoying. And it looks like the battery's split in 2? I don't think I've ever seen that before. But besides that, my suspicion here was correct. There's no room for the gasket to do anything in this situation. It just sits on a flat board and isn't much better than a standard case mount. Typically you want to see a little bit of depth for the gasket to travel downward to have some flex, but it just presses right against the case. But it does have a good amount of foam. There's a layer between the polycarbonate plate and the PCB and an adhesive piece of foam in the back along with a plastic sheet that kind of does what a tape mod would normally do. And yeah, these would do a great job of dampening the sound in a normal scenario, but it just so happens that it's banging against the bottom of the case anyway. Also, there is an important mod that was not done. What you'd like to see is a little bit of rubber on some of the material to brace the impact between the top case and the bottom case. That would actually help quiet this up quite a bit. And you can fix this by adding squares of tape between that should reduce the sound overall. I have an example of my keycard video I'll post here. And it looks like there's no lube on the stabilizers, but it sounds great as well. I do wonder how they achieved this, and the spacebar could use a little bit of lube in my opinion, but everything else is pretty solid. So there's two major issues with this keyboard. This and the gasket, which is not doing much. It just really ain't. And I have a lot of gasket keyboards in my collection. This is probably the most minor gasket keyboard ever. Pressing down barely makes an impact on the softness, and that results in a very stiff typing experience regardless, and a very mediocre sound profile. But the saving grace of this keyboard is absolutely the price. On sale at $110 at time of writing, this is kind of a compelling price for a complete package. With really good switches, a really good keyboard set, some mods you could do to make it a little bit quieter, but of course you can put in your own different switches. All the parts are included, and it's very premium and well thought out, minus those few details I talked about. So it's a good keyboard, hefty, good quality, and they did a decent job. Again, I think there's some improvements they can make for their design. Gaming on this thing wasn't bad at all. Honestly, it did a job. 50 grams of force isn't really my ideal amount of force for a Switch, but that's just preference, and it did the job. It played well, it sounded a little loud in the microphone, but overall it was decent. Gaming is always preference based. It's never something that you can really gauge unless you're using something specific like a Hall effect keyboard or something you're really playing your style to. So if you'd like to check out the Yunzii AL75, all the description will be down below, and they run sales all the time, so keep your eyes peeled. Anyway, love you guys. If you want to support me, there's lots of ways to do it. Drop a comment, drop a like, and subscribe. That's the way to do it. It's all free. It's freaking free. Just do it already. Do it.